Hi everybody, this is Andrea with Arc Adventures. We are not on a cruise at the moment, but instead we have something new in store for you. Other than cruising and taking trips, another thing Andy and I love to do is cook when we have a chance. So today, that's what we're gonna do with you.
These meatballs blow away any store-bought meatballs, just telling you. So
fresh is best.
Yeah, make them. Hey everybody. So what I wanted to share today is authentic Italian red sauce and meatballs. So homemade sauce from tomato paste, and then meatballs the way my grandma used to make them. So that's what I'm gonna do.
We have everything lined up, and we'll let you know what we put in here, and Andy will add the recipe in the description if anybody would like to.
Yep. Yeah, this is everything you need to make the red sauce part. So I'm gonna start with garlic. Now you just cut off this end here. So I cut that off, and then you kind of, this is like an emerald thing, like bam! That's what he does. So it does work. So we're gonna get garlic. There's Alright, they're all good. Alright, so then you just want to get the garlic like really fine. Okay, that's pretty good. So then what I'm going to do in the pan over here, olive oil. And I don't really measure. I just put like enough to cover where the garlic's going to be. All right, turn on the heat maybe to about 5, like, medium high. You don't want to scorch the garlic. You don't want to burn it.
Oh, that's for sure.
All right, so here we come with the garlic. Just put it right into the oil. Now, I like to season the garlic, so salt and pepper. Our pepper's almost out. Ah, there's some.
I need some more peppercorns.
Probably like 2 minutes. Smell it already? Do you smell it?
I smell it. I don't know if everybody else does.
No, they don't. We don't have the smell-o-vision technology, but...
A little bit.
Okay, so this is where you have to be careful, because once it starts, like, bubbling like that, it won't be long, and then it will start browning. Yeah, it's starting to turn brown around the edges. Yeah, so check that out. So right now there's no browning. That's probably about perfect. So any type of dry red wine, Merlot, Cabernet, whatever's dry red. All right, so what I do now, before it starts scorching, pour red wine in. I don't measure. I would say about that much. And then any good Italian, you have to cook. You have to drink red wine while you're cooking. It's a rule. So some for the chef.
The sous chef will have a little bit of her Amaretto.
All right. So next, let's get the tomato paste in there. It's 1 can of tomato paste and 3 cans of water. So. And I got a little can because I'm going to make 1.5 pounds of meatballs, so I want to have plenty of sauce. Okay, so 3 cans of water. Okay, there's 3 with that can. Now I need 3 with the next can. 3. Now, a big tip, if you're not doing meatballs and you just want a red sauce, only do 2 cans of water. Because the reason being, if you're doing meatballs, they have to simmer an hour, so a lot of the liquid's going to reduce and evaporate. So that's why you need the extra can. So if you're just making a straight red sauce that you want to use right away, 2 cans. But meatballs, 3. Okay, so now I would say a good teaspoon of salt, but I don't really measure, I just kind of taste. So, alright, I'm sprinkling garlic salt. Pepper. And I would say about maybe a teaspoon each. I am just estimating. Okay, then you want to do oregano. And then another tip I've learned from actually from Emerald again is like you want to wake up the garlic, or the oregano, so you just kind of rub it between your fingers and that kind of wakes it all up. So oregano, maybe a little more. Wake it up. Okay, then some basil, and the same thing. Go in and then just rub it between your fingers. I just do a few pinches. You see how much I'm doing here? If you look down in here, you're almost covering the top almost with basil and oregano. Okay, I do a couple dashes of crushed red pepper just to kick it up a notch.
Sometimes a little more than some would like.
Yeah, Andrew's not wild about the crushed red pepper. A few shakes definitely wakes it up. Alright, I hold off on the Parmesan, but I am going to add Parmesan. Alright, dash of sugar. Okay. So now we want the paste to start mixing in with the water. So you may need to kick it up to high, at least till it starts mixing. How's that smell?
If only you could smell what was going on. Pretty good.
And all the men in the Kelowna side of the house were cooks. Fun fact. But my grandma, oh. Yeah, everything she cooked was like amazing. Bread, homemade bread, meatballs, vanilla ice cream, and on and on. Now, I do like a little Parmesan in there, so I'm going to add Parmesan. Mix that in.
Mind our little whining friend. He wants to go outside.
Keep in mind when it simmers for an hour, it's going to reduce, so it will get saltier as the liquid goes away. So you ought to take a little taste to make sure you're in the ballpark. Okay, so take a little taste. And I'm checking here. I'm going to check for salt and pepper mainly. I think it's good as is. Actually, it's pretty good. I'm going to check for salt and pepper after it's simmered an hour. If it's, because you can't really take it out when it's too salty. It's going to take you maybe 20 minutes for the meatballs. So I'm going to turn it off. So meatballs, you're going to use all these ingredients here. We got garlic, salt, pepper, Parmesan cheese, Progresso Italian style breadcrumbs, parsley. Now I'm cheating. I'm using parsley that's already ground up, but you could buy fresh parsley. A little Worcestershire, just a couple dashes, and an egg and oil. All right, so definitely gonna, and you can use yellow or white onion. All right, let's cut the onion first. Okay, so that's ready. All right, so now it's time to mix the meatballs. I have like 1.5 pounds of ground, it's just ground chuck. Now what I would say to do is do 80% meat. So if you do 73, that's too much fat. If you do 93, that might be a little too lean for meatballs. I would just do 80%. Okay, so here's 1.5 pounds. The only thing I do measure when it comes to meatballs is salt. So 1 teaspoon per pound of meat. So this is 1.5 pounds. I got a 1 teaspoon, so I'm going to do 1.5 of these. All right, here's a teaspoon of garlic salt. I like garlic salt. Teaspoon. Now I'm going to eyeball 1/2 of a teaspoon. About 1/2 of a teaspoon. Pepper, I'm probably going to do a teaspoon. Maybe the same as the salt. Okay, there was a little extra. No, I'll just stick with a teaspoon here. That looks like enough. Teaspoon of pepper. Okay, 1 egg.
1 egg, no shell.
No shell? Now the purpose of the egg, one thing is it adds moisture. Then another thing is you know when the meat is mixed, when you can't see the egg.
Can't see the egg, can you, Russ?
You'd probably do 1/4 to 1/2 cup of this. And I'm going to put the recipe in the description, so don't worry. But I don't measure this. I cover the top of it.
And
see?
what is that you're putting in?
The Italian style breadcrumbs. See how I covered the top of it? Cover the top with breadcrumbs. I'm going to do the same thing with Parmesan. So watch this. Oh yeah, look at that. That's a lot of Parm, a lot of Romano. Oh.
And what does Emerald always say?
Okay, smell that. No. Oh yeah, babe. That's what Emerald says. He's like, oh yeah. Okay, so there's that. I just do a couple dashes of Worcestershire.
And what is it?
Worcestershire. What's this here sauce? Couple dashes. Okay, so I cheated. I already told you about the parsley. It's already, I don't have to do anything.
Nobody's got time for that.
But look, I'm going to do a lot of parsley, almost like the other things. It's covered. Okay, we got that. Okay, now a little olive oil over the top. And the olive oil and the egg is to help the meatballs stick together, or help the meat stick together. It makes it a lot easier. And it does add flavor. And then there's all the onion. So that's all the ingredients. So we're ready to mix. And what you do, you just use your hands, and you kind of use your hands like a meat mixer. You just keep going like this until the egg's totally gone. So here we go. Partly further.
Ooh, look at this smell.
Okay, so I'm just continuing to mix. It's not mixed yet. Then you could actually reach in the bottom, flip it over, and then continue to do this. Yeah, see all that? It smells like, oh yeah.
Smells glorious.
That smells awesome. So the key to meatballs, definitely season the meat and add a lot of good stuff. I mean, I love the onion. Now when my kids were little, I would do some meatballs with no onion. I'd do like half and half because they just didn't like onion. But if you cut them small enough, I think they're hidden pretty well, and they definitely add a lot of flavor.
But
and
season.
Season. And see the parsley in there? Okay, then one thing though, you don't want to overwork the meat, because that is such a thing. And then it would just be a different consistency that might not be great.
You can tell them the one thing they can do for taste, but we're not brave enough like
taste
your
the
dad.
meat. Yeah, so my grandma and my dad back in the day, they would taste the raw meat to see that it's seasoned. Yeah, I don't do that. I just get it right.
We're not brave enough. We just go with it.
I've just measured the salt and pepper, so I kind of know it's right. All right, so this is ready. So what size meatballs should we do?
We usually do a ping pong ball, but I think we need some tennis balls today.
Tennis ball. All right, we'll do tennis ball. Okay, so the meat is mixed well, and Andrea called for tennis ball size, so she's gonna get tennis ball size. So let's go. Now they say, like, when you're cooking meat, to turn on the pan first and get a really hot pan. I don't do that only because when you're rolling the meatballs, you would just need to, mess up another plate by putting everything on the meatballs. I just put them in and then I turn on the pan. So, all right, tennis balls, she says. So you grab as much as you think and then you just roll, roll, roll.
It's kind of cold weather now, and I love playing tennis. And since I can't, we're going to eat tennis balls.
You just keep doing this, and it's sticking together good, so we know we have enough egg, we have enough oil. All right, so there's one. Is that like a tennis ball?
Look at that. That's fantastic.
Is that a tennis ball?
That's a tennis ball.
Okay. You just kind of go by feel. Like, you could add meat or you could subtract meat, but that kind of feels like a tennis ball. All right. You just keep rolling.
You can make whatever size you want, really. But if you want to have it for multiple meals, you can do tennis ball size and just have one giant meatball.
You could.
With your pasta.
So this size, you do about, 4 meatballs to a serving? No. For Andrea, it might be just one meatball. Okay, so we turned the sauce back on. We're going to want the sauce to be nice and hot. Gave it a good stir. Meatballs. So turn your skillet on pretty much high, but I'll go a little less than high, and it's going to take a little bit to heat up. Now this is where people want a hot skillet to begin with, but I like to roll the meatballs right into the skillet. So there's what they look like. I almost timed it right. You see the last meatball is like totally different size, but that's okay, right?
Yeah, that's right. That'll be my size.
That'll be Andrew's meatball. So what you got to do, to give meatballs really good flavor, you want to brown them on all sides. Some people like to bake meatballs, but to me, that doesn't give like the browning all over. And that's the way my grandma did them. So we would always brown them in a skillet, all sides, and then we would put them into the sauce. And I'll talk about that later, but that is the key. All right, flipping that one. Got good color. Flipping that one. Look at that color. Flipping. Okay, so they've all flipped once, and now you just got to keep flipping them until all sides are brown. So let's go. Okay, we're getting there. If you look in here, you can see the color. This is kind of the color you want all around right here, this one. These other ones don't look as colorful as that one. So we're almost there. Okay, we're nearly there. So this one's done. So I'm going to take this one out. Now what we do, all this grease, you want to remove the grease. So a couple layers of paper towels. So this one's ready. I'm going to fish it out. Put it on the paper towel. Yeah, this one, well, the bottom could have a little more color, but otherwise it's done. Towards the center of the pan is usually the hottest, so any ones that really need help, push them towards the middle. Oh yeah, look at the color on all these. Yeah, that's good. Color equals flavor. I think we're done. And now this grease here, what I usually do, just pour it into one of the tomato paste cans, and then wait till it hardens and then toss it. I don't think you can recycle grease. Okay, so now what I do, this is why I have the extra layer of paper towel. I'm gonna just kind of gently go like this, and we're gonna get as much grease off as we could get. Any of the grease you're taking out is less fat. Now the thing is, these are definitely not cooked all the way through yet. So the key is, people will either do, like, they'll bake large meatballs and then they know they're done in the middle. Approach we prefer is to cook them in the sauce. So you slow cook them in this sauce, and we're talking at least an hour, and the meatballs are going to take on all the sauce, all the flavor of the red sauce, and we're talking, that's where they get the flavor. Awesome. Okay, so we have all the meatballs in the sauce, and now we want, right now it's on low, we're gonna want it to be like a very slow boil, so medium low until it like starts boiling. Just don't let it boil like crazily, and it's gonna simmer for like an hour. So, and actually what you want to do, so it doesn't evaporate too much, have a lid covering it, but have the lid be a jar like this. And that way some liquid will evaporate, but not all. And then the meat's gonna cook all the way through. Okay, this is probably about how you want it. So I have it, if you look on the dial here, it's a little above low. So it's like 2 to 3. So we're gonna want the lid ajar again, and look at your time here, 5 o'clock, at least an hour. Okay, welcome back. The meatballs have now been cooking about 50 minutes, and look at them. Now what you want to do, so we're going to start the pasta water. Now normally you would use a much bigger pot, but it's just going to be Andrea and I eating, so we're not going to make a huge pot. So here's the key to pasta. You must salt the water, like a lot of salt. So watch how much I pour. Okay, so salt the water in a little olive oil. And now I'm just gonna wait for the water to boil. So the key to any good pasta, you gotta have salted water. So we'll reconvene when it's boiling. Okay, once it's boiling like that, or rolling boil they call it, then add your pasta. We're just gonna do about half the box, because like I said, it's just Andrea and I. You gotta stir it like right away, or it's like stuck together. And then set your timer for whatever the box says, so it's pretty easy. 10 minutes. Okay, we'll see you back in 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes has passed, so I like to try one, just to make sure it's done. Oh, maybe one more minute. Okay, they're done now. One last thing though, when you try it, if they're too bland, you could still, at this point, add more salt and then give it a good stir and like wait another minute. But these were fine. They weren't too salty, they were just right. So now when you drain it, don't like over drain it. You do want a little bit of water. Okay. And then I add a little bit of like extra virgin olive oil, just a little bit. and then give it a stir. And now you're done. Now you could just plate up with the muscicoli and then red sauce and meatballs. So let's plate up. Oh yeah, it's done.
Perfect.
Look at that.
Probably only need half of this, but
Right on.
a little hot.
A little hot. It's got to be really hot.
And as always, go ahead, share our page, like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you know when the next notification comes in.
Okay everyone, this concludes our video. I hope you really enjoy the meatballs if you make them, and the pasta and the red sauce. So please comment below how you like everything. Andrea just tried it. She said it was awesome. I'm looking forward to trying it. So let's eat!